Okay, I think we can start our webinar and then other people who will join us, they will find us, they will catch us along the way. And today I will host this webinar, but also we have some other members from the SynBio4ALL Africa who are on this call. We have Ice will be on this call for a short time, but he will leave along the way. So that is it. So today we are happy that we are hosting Sandra Matinyi. She's the ED of Nuo Bioscience, and she will take us through the need for biopolicy capacity building in Africa. A brief biography about Sandra. She's a global health security professional with almost a decade, with an experience of almost a decade. And she has previously worked with different agencies, government agencies and non-government agencies, such as the WHO. And under WHO, she led a pilot study for implementing the WHO's global guidance framework. And she's currently interested in various intersection of emerging technologies and biosecurity. And she's a biosecurity game changer fellow at Brown University currently. So the person we are hosting will really share with us the rich knowledge in the field of biopolicy, biogovernance, and all those fields. And I hope we shall take home a lot. And with that brief introduction, I would like to welcome Sandra Matinyi, and I will help her also on the same time to share her presentation. Yeah. Sandra,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Emma. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you're joining this webinar from. I'm really very delighted to be here with you, and I appreciate Emma and the entire team at SynBio4ALL Africa for giving me the opportunity to talk to us all here on a subject that is very passionate to my heart. So I hope you will enjoy this, but also beyond here, we can engage more on this particular topic. So biopolicy capacity building is really what we need for a resilient Africa. But when we talk about biopolicy, what exactly are we referring to? So it's not really a mysterious abstract concept. You could think of it as an essential puzzle that connects scientific innovations to societal well-being. So on one side, you have this very incredible science, synthetic biology, gene editing, vaccine development, agricultural biotech, which presents really immense potential. But on the other side, you have society, which needs to benefit from this science, but very safely, securely, and equitably. So biopolicy is really what bridges the gap within those different aspects. And we look at it as a field of law, regulation, governance, and ethical guidance that governs research, development, and application of life sciences to maximize the benefits. So we are talking about like health, food security, environment, national security, but also ensuring that there is minimization of risks. And that is the biosafety and biosecurity risks, but also very importantly, ethical misuse. So the other aspect, which is sometimes left out, is the issue of dual use of some of the technologies. So when we talk about biopolicy and capacity, why is biopolicy capacity very important? So we are aware that there is a lot of changes that are happening with the rapid advancements of technology. And COVID taught us that the pathogens in, for example, one country is not a threat to just one country, but a threat to all. And so without strong policies for surveillance, laboratory safety, and rapid response, we remain very vulnerable. We have issues of international commerce. The rapid technologies, advancements in technologies have made the technologies very cheap. And so that means it's easy for people to access some of these technologies. And then that means also the diversity of the actors. So back then you would think, the research or any work on in biology that we should fear should be in confined in some laboratory and maybe a specific level of the lab. But that is no longer the case. We have very different players doing biology at different levels. And then we've seen we've seen new drugs and vaccines, innovative treatments. We talk about gene therapies, personalized medications, medical devices, but convergence of technologies. Currently, we are talking about issues of AI and bio. So all these, they present a lot of opportunities, but they also have they increase the layers of risk that they add to the whole context. And so biopolicy becomes very critical. Next slide, Emma. So with capacity in biopolicy, we can prevent the next pandemic. So preparedness and response, secure agricultural systems, and food safety. The bioeconomy, attracting responsible investment and building the bioeconomy. No one is going to really give you their money or invest money in a country they are not sure that their investment will be protected. No one is going to set up a biomanufacturing investment in your country if they are not sure that they can be able to access the materials that they require. They are not sure that they will be able to secure their investment there. And so the thing which is going to help you attract these investments to grow your bioeconomy are the biopolicies in place. But preventing accidents and malicious acts, building trust in science, and ensuring that as we build the biopolicy capacity in Africa, we're actually increasing the African voices that are going to shape the global norms, so that Africa is not just a consumer, but is also at the table contributing to the discussions. Next slide. So in the African context, I think there are some opportunities that we have. And one of it that we can't, go on without speaking about is the fact that Africa currently hosts the world's youngest population. There is rapidly growing STEM research in the community. And then we have this Agenda 2063, where the Africa we want is actually prioritizing science and technology. And part of that is really invested in biology. And then, of course, the rising investment in research infrastructure. So we are going to see some of the things that are actually happening on the continent. Emma, let's go to the next slide. So the explosion of innovation makes biopolicy capacity even more urgent as we are building the plane while flying it. So the time to establish strong, ethical, and effective governance is now to ensure this growth is sustainable, safe, and secure. So these are some of just an example. I picked this from, the public domain on some of the work which is going on. And a lot of it is also out there that you may know about. So Africa is indeed engrossed in this work, is, doing research in biology. East Africa is being looked at as one of those places that could become a lead in bioeconomy innovation. We have scientists that are coming up with breakthrough researches in vaccine development. We have, for example, here in Uganda, We have a center where we are starting research on sickle cell gene therapy. So how do we ensure that as Africa continues to innovate, as scientists work so hard to do all this research, we are able to gainfully benefit from the research? Because if you don't have policies in place, then that means you could actually be the source of maybe an innovation. But if there are no policies that protect what you've innovated, then someone else could actually benefit from that innovation. But also very importantly, that we ensure that these particular innovations cannot, the skills, the technologies cannot be misused, and ensuring that we have security. Next slide. So when we talk about biopolicy, we know sometimes we could be thinking, oh, that is maybe for the politicians, or there are some people who are cut out for that. But I would like to just bring us to the fact that when we are talking about biopolicy, we are looking at the chain from, the institution where you are based, in that lab where you are working, you are doing research, all the way to the global stage. So first and very fundamentally is at the lab level, this is where the research happens. So capacity here means, for example, as a PI of a research, you're ensuring that your lab has, a rock solid biosafety and biosecurity management system in place. The university as an institution is establishing ethics review boards. There are issues of dual use research governance to oversee the research, dual use research. So this is the foundation of biopolicy indeed. So I just want you to envision yourself and where you are right now, even if you are probably aspiring to get into some other space, but what can your contribution be where you are? And so from the first level where we are at institutional level, we move on to the national level, where we have the government act. And capacity building here involves drafting and passing national laws, establishing agencies that can coordinate aspects of biopolicy. And, it's really about creating the national rules of the road. Where do we stop? Where do we turn as we take on this road, this path in the bioeconomy? And from there, we move on to the regional level. And here we are talking about Africa. So we have the African Union. And really the goal here is for harmonization. So we have different countries with different policies, with different laws in place. But as a regional body, what is the role that bodies like the African Union can play? So here, if a country has strict laws and its neighbors has none, it really creates a weak link that can affect everyone. And so at the regional level, at the African Union level, it's a perfect example of how to build regional capacity for coordinated response. And finally, at the global level, so here is when we talk about capacity building at the global level, we are looking at how African nations have been the technical experts who can engage in negotiations. For example, you are aware, so recently we had the pandemic treaty being passed through. And we have Africa is one of those countries that are actually looking at negotiating the access and benefit sharing from the use of pathogens from Africa, in case maybe there's development of vaccines and all that. So how can we be able to build the capacity of experts who can sit in the rooms and negotiate on behalf of the countries and behalf of the continent in aspects of the bioeconomy? So really, capacity building is not a one-size-fits-all thing. The training that you need to run a safe lab is different from the skills needed to negotiate at the UN, but they're all part of the same system. So strengthening one level really strengthens the entire ecosystem. So what am I saying? Where you are is the best place to start, and then we can aspire to get into the other levels as you can see how the whole system is. Next slide, Emma. Yes, so knowing that there are gaps or challenges that exist, and those gaps are the bridges that we need to build. The very, very key one, and I believe on this call, the majority of the people we have are scientists. But as scientists, we are very much unaware of policy. And while we are unaware of policy, the policymakers are also not very aware of science. And so it's a place where we need to see how to bridge those two, how to bridge policy and science. Then we have the funding gap, where biopolicy is often not a budget priority. So we know that even when we sit in rooms where their budgets are being discussed, it's always a big problem to have funding prioritized for aspects of, for example, biosecurity, biosafety, and biosecurity. And that is partly because there are so many other competing priorities. But maybe as scientists, this is where we need to think about how can we be able to actually contribute better and ensure that we are communicating better to have budgets allocated to biopolicy. And then we have the training gap. There are very few formal educational programs in this niche, some of which we shall look at. We have coordination gaps. There are always silos. For that, so many countries on the continents that I happen to work with, I get the privilege to work with, there is always a struggle to connect the different ministries. So you have Ministry of Health doing their own thing, and you have Ministry of Agriculture doing their own thing, and they do not see how they link with these other ministries. Being able to link, for example, aspects of health to security, science to defense, sometimes is really, quite difficult to see it being implemented in a number of African countries. So that is one of the big issues that we have. And then we have the implementation gap. There may be laws that exist, but these laws exist on paper and not in practice. So you have this very nicely, written and enacted laws, but that's all where they stop. So that is also one of the challenges that is very, prominent and existing. Next slide, Emma. So if there are all these, challenges, I may not be the best place at this moment to think that I can be able to maybe give recommendations or, suggest these solutions for all the different aspects. And for me, what I would like to focus on, where I have personally passed and it has gotten me to where I am, is building the person, like being able to build the capacity of the human, of the person, and that person can be able to go on and create all these other systems. So the aspect of capacity building that I'm going to really focus on here is the capacity of the person, the personnel. How do we build the capacity of the personnel so that they can be able to go on and ensure that they enact, the right laws, draft the right laws and have them passed? How can we build their capacity in that they can go on and communicate science clearly to policymakers in those policymaking rooms? How can we be able to build capacity of a person so that they can be the right person that we send to those rooms at the UN to negotiate on our behalf. And so here I would like to just give you insights on some of the existing opportunities. So to start with, we have opportunities at the national level. So there are a number of capacity building initiatives in all our countries. If you do not know about them, maybe you've not searched enough, you've not talked to someone, you've not looked out for them, but they are there. So that is the very first place that we should start. We have also the non-government organizations that have initiatives. An example of it, which is SynBio4ALL Africa, and it's the reason we are here. It's a great place to learn, and it's a great place that can be able to catapult you to the next stage in your case for building your capacity to contribute to biopolicy in Africa. Of course, my organization, Nuo Bioscience, we are very keen on also being able to build capacity of people in this space of biopolicy. Then we have our regional bodies initiatives. We have the Africa CDC, and one very famous initiative is the Biosafety and Biosecurity Initiative. And this initiative, one of the key things that it's aimed at is that building capacity of people in the space of biosafety and biosecurity. And it goes all the way from implementation to policy. So it's also a good place that we can be able to look for opportunities for capacity building. And then we have the CITISA capacity building programs. So CITISA, that is Science, Technology, Innovation Strategy for Africa. And the previous, so this is a strategy plan that I think was up to 2024, 2025. There will probably be a new one that will be coming up. But there are capacity building programs implemented by AU NEPAD to build capacity in biopolicy. And when you look them up, you will be able to see some of the work that they have done in this space. Then we have international NGOs initiatives. For example, currently that you can even sign in tonight is the WHO course on dual use research and responsible use of life sciences. So this, as Emma earlier introduced me, I happen to have led the piloting of the global guidance framework for the responsible use of life sciences in Uganda. And based on that framework is how we have this course developed. And so it's a very good course that you can access. It's a free course. And so maybe it's one of those things you want to look into. And then we have the UN Office of Disarmament Affairs, or the BWCISU, which has trainings. They are very keen on capacity building programs that can be able to bring together, like to remove the gap between science and policy. So there are some of the programs that are always called up, and I think it's a very good place. I have as well been working as part of a fellowship that I just graduated from yesterday. I was attached with the Biological Weapons Convention, ISU, and one of the things that I worked on was to review some of these training programs or fellowship programs to see that they actually suit the needs of the people that are always in this program. And majority of the people that are always sponsored for this program are actually from the global south, and a lot of them are from Africa. So these are opportunities that you can take advantage of. We have the trainings in policy. One example is the Diplo Foundation platform, which offers courses in science diplomacy. You could look them up. Next stage, next slide, Emma. Yes, so for some of those, I have pulled out some of the existing fellowship programs. So I already talked about the biosafety and biosecurity initiative by the Africa CDC and the number of programs that happen there. One very good other program, which is a fellowship program that I have been part of for the last 1 year, is the Brown University Pandemic Center Biosecurity Game Changers Fellowship. So for this particular fellowship, it looked at how to bring young scientists into policy spaces so that they can gain capacity and they can go back, either contribute to their national, contribute at the national level, but regional level as well, but as well as the global stage. So it's a very good place that you can be able to build your capacity in biopolicy in. And as you can see above there are 6 organizations for the first cohort of the those 6 organizations. We have IBIS, we have PAN, the Pandemic Action Network, we had Gavi, the BWC ISU where I was attached, and then we had the Brown University Pandemic Center itself. And then at my organization, Nuo Bioscience, we have what we call Africa Women Leaders Initiative.
Sorry for that disturbance. I think the presenter's internet is not so good. We shall try to get in touch with her and see that she gets a good internet just in a moment.
Apologies, my internet just disconnected, but I'm back here. Yes, so the next one, we have the ICGB BWC AIP course on virus detection and biosecurity and science diplomacy. So this is one of the initiatives by the BWC ISU. Then we have the NTI Nuclear Threat Initiative Bio program. They have the Next Generation Biosecurity Delegation program, where they get young scientists and take them to Geneva during the BWC, the Biological Weapons Conversion Working Group meetings, and have them, interact with the policymakers and also, like build their capacity in that space. This particular program is currently receiving applications, so I would employ all those who qualify. I think the age limit is 35. To look it up and please apply. The deadline is on the 7th of September, so look it up. Then we have the Youth for Biosecurity Fellowship, which I've also gotten the opportunity to be a part of, which is a great place to also build your capacity in biopolicy. And this is also run by the Biological Weapons Conversion ISU. And then we have the 9th annual the Next Generation for Biosecurity competition, which recently had the received applications, the review was done, and they should have, or they will soon be announcing the finalists from this. And the people who compete in this particular competition and emerge as winners end up also getting to Geneva at the BWC working group meetings where they interface with the policymakers there. Emma, next slide. So now that we've talked about the opportunities that exist, what are some of the career paths that you can take? Because you might think you are a scientist, and so all you can do is, do the science and the research. But there are so many ways in which you can actually contribute to biopolicy. So first of all, as a scientist, you are the expert in the room, and your research really is what informs the rest of the decisions that are to be made. So you are doing great there. But you can also be a policy officer, where you work within government, like developing policies in the different ministries. Then you could be an international civil servant. So that is where you end up working with international organizations like the WHO, the UN, Office of Disarmament Affairs, or any other UN body. We have the African Union. So looking at issues of global affairs. If you are, you can also be an NGO advocate, where you work in a biosafety and biosecurity organization or any other organization. For example, some of the organization may not be only biosafety and biosecurity, but you'll find that they're able to have other aspects, but then biopolicy is one of them. So it's also a great place to be. Then academia, where you're doing research and teaching science policy. We have entrepreneurship, where you ensure that you're building compliant startups. Your businesses are compliant with existing policies, or even, identifying gaps of where policies do not exist. Then you can be a science communicator, where you communicate science to policymakers. Next. And then when we are talking about building a multidisciplinary biopolicy dream team, so you're looking at having different people contributing to this team. So we would have scientists and researchers, and we say that this is the team that provides the technical information on which decisions are best. Then we have, if you're a lawyer or policy drafters, converting evidence into law and draft regulations to ensure compliance. Then so literally it's looking at everyone in this whole ecosystem, looking at the previous pathways that we looked at. So you would have to bring all these people together for you to ensure that you are having that team that can be able to come up with the right policies in place. Okay, next slide, Emma. So what can you do today? Given all that information, we've talked about what biopolicy is. We've talked about, why it's important, why Africa needs biopolicy capacity building. We've talked about opportunities that are there. We've talked about the different pathways that you can take, but where you are. And here I'm looking at, I'm hoping, behind the screen, there is a scientist in the lab. What is that you can do? You are the leadership of an institution. What is that you can do to contribute to capacity building in Africa? And one of them, take one course, start today, take that one online course, and then you can build on from there. Join a network. So I hope you are part of the SynBio4ALL network. At Nuo Bioscience, we are equally very keen on engaging with you, so you can look us up and then start a conversation in your laboratory or department or institution, wherever you are, about this topic. Then follow the relevant organizations on social media. So again, look out for some of them. I have talked about them. I talked about the organizations that have opportunities that you can tap into. Look them up and follow them so that you don't miss that next information about what they are doing, that next information about the opportunities that they have. And then for the institutions, there is need to integrate ethics and policy modules into science curricula, host seminars on responsible conduct of research, for example, develop biosafety and biosecurity management plans for your institution, and then also like ensuring that you engage with the appropriate national focal points where we have each country, they have focal points for these different aspects. And so look them up and see how you can engage with them and maybe contribute to the efforts. Next slide, Emma. So really, I would like to say this. The future is in your hands, and Africa's bioeconomy will be built by its scientists and its policymakers. Who are you? You have the talent, you have the tools and the community. So be that bridge, be that translator, be that leader, and together, let us build a safe and secure Africa, the Africa we want.
Very much.
Again, I'm Sandra Matinyi from Nuo Bioscience, and you can always reach me at that email. Thank you, and over to you, Emma.
Okay, thank you so much, Sandra, for that wonderful discussion you have shared with us today and with everyone. So please, we are still going on with the webinar. It will depend really on how much you have been interested and the kind of questions which you have for Sandra. We are very open towards questions. You can share your questions via the chat, or you can raise your hand and we shall give you an opportunity to ask your question or to give your comment or suggestion which you have. So at this moment, we are open for questions. Anyone who has a question, please, if you can't unmute, just type in the chat. Okay, Dr. Samira is appreciating the presentation from Sandra. Any other person with a question? Okay, as we wait for questions from the participants, I just have one question for you, Sandra. You have been in this field for quite for quite a long period of time. Which challenges have you discovered that have left Africa behind compared to the rest of the regions of the world?
Oh, that's an interesting question, Emma. Yes, so some of those aspects I did speak to some of them. But to contextualize that, I spoke about the aspect of, this area not being a priority area. And so when it comes to investment in terms of resources, it's not one of the places that has always, taken precedence. I could kind of want to see it from, the point of from the side of the leaders and all that, given the fact that there is always, other very many competing priorities. But I think with the fact that we are currently realizing that the next thing that is going to build Africa is capitalizing on Africa's bioeconomy. I think we've had that being talked by so much in the leadership of the different countries. So if we think that we are going to be able to benefit from the bioeconomy, then we have no choice. As Africa, we need to get up and make sure that whatever we've not been prioritizing, it's high time we do prioritize it. But then, of course, a number of the opportunities that exist, you'll find that they are crafted from countries in the global north. So some of the opportunities that I shared there. And so you'll find that as people from the global south, you are just going to have a few representation in those programs. So what does that mean? You, as countries, it's important that we have, invest in some of these programs if we attach that much importance to them, and see that we have more of our people involved. And then, of course, the issue where we have the understanding of the different, like the pace at which some of these technologies, biotechnologies are advancing in Africa is not the same as it is elsewhere. So other places know what exactly they could be able, or they are actually benefiting from, having the biopolicies in place. But if you aren't yet like very well harnessing the power of these technologies, then investing in like policies may look like a cost rather than an investment. And so it may not be as priority. But I think with the fact that now we are realizing more that we need to capitalize on the bioeconomy, I am hopeful that we are going to see that change. And hopefully we shall have, more capacity built on the continent in biopolicy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the feedback, Sandra. As we continue to receive questions, I would like to emphasize on the opportunity from the Nuclear Threat Initiative, which Sandra shared in her presentation. It's a really nice opportunity. Try to look at it. We already shared it in the SynBio4ALL Africa community, and I hope some of you members have already applied for it. And also other opportunities which Sandra shared in her presentation. Please look out at them and try out them. You never know. That could be the starting point for your journey in the field of biopolicy. So Latoya Seku is asking a question, but he starts by appreciating, and then he's asking, how do we influence our governments to prioritize biopolicy at the national level?
Yes, could you just repeat that?
He's asking, how do we influence our governments to prioritize biopolicy at the national level?
Okay, thank you so much. So one thing I would say on this particular one is, if you are a scientist, I think one of the things that we've done so badly is to communicate what we are doing, communicate what we know. We tend to always communicate what we are doing and what we know to people who are not where we are, who are not scientists, as though they were scientists, right? So because we do that a lot, they fail to really understand us as scientists. They fail to pick the value in what we are trying to communicate, because you are communicating with a lot of science, and from your perspective, from how you see it, other than from how they would see it. So one of the key things, I think, which is like a general principle in effective communication, is think about the person that you are communicating to. So the first thing to start with is, how as scientists do we become better communicators on what we know, so that we can support the decision makers to, based on the information we are giving them with confidence, to actually enact these different policies. So as I earlier indicated, talking about enacting laws, there are already existing laws in place. And so if you do not communicate well to the policymakers, they will think the policies that are in place are actually adequate, right? So they are wondering why actually should we enact the policies, yet we have these ones in place. So I think one of the key things that we need to really like work on and really like very, very critically think about is the issue of communication. And if we can be able to package that well, if we are talking about issues of, for example, biosecurity, do not just start from scaring people about what your science could be misused for. Talk about, the positive value of what you're doing and how, for example, like the technologies can be able to support in terms of security, because we can be able to use these technologies for security, much as they can also be a source of what? Of insecurity. So very importantly, understand what is a priority for the policymakers. I'll give you an example. In my country, security it's above everything else. So if you want to talk about your, so much science, the best thing you can do is bring it from the angle of security, and you'll be listened to. I hope that helps. But there could be other ways, but I think that is one of the starting points that you can build on. Do we have any other questions, Emma?
Okay, we have a question. Someone had risen the hand, but it has been lowered. So I think we can proceed with the questions from the chat. But before we go to the next question, I would like to also echo on the same thing of communication that when you're communicating, just know the government priorities, the priorities of your government, then bring the science via the perspective of the government priorities. So Abigail wants to know how do biopolicy frameworks balance innovation in biotech with ethical, culture, and environmental considerations?
Great. So to start with, the policies indeed have to be, developed cognizant of all those different aspects. And that is why you will not just pick policies from maybe another country, especially if it's in a completely different environment, and then you bring it to fit into another country. So there has to be what we call the domestication of those different policies. So for you to ensure that you have policies that are actually able to balance the positives of innovation vis-a-vis the risks that are posed, there is what we call conducting of risk assessments. So when you have assessments in place, you are able to first of all do a cost benefit analysis of the different policies that are being enacted. So this is to ensure that you are coming up with policies that are not prohibitive of maybe, for example, like research, that will ensure this research will still go on, but you don't have people who could misuse the research for malicious purposes have access to maybe those technologies and the knowledge from this particular research. So there are controls that have to be put in place. One very key thing that was initially always overlooked is the issue of data management. So when it comes to data, you know that currently you can be able to work with, sequences of a particular agent and work backwards and develop that organism probably. So you are going to have policies in place that will ensure that, yes, research is going on, but the people who are conducting this research, we have conducted maybe reliability tests on them, assessments on them, and so there are people who are reliable, they are trusted, so they can be entrusted to conduct this particular research for peaceful purposes. You're going to have systems in place. For example, we have institutional biosafety committees, we have research ethics committees, we have national committees that ensure that the entire chain of the work that is being conducted is always reviewed. And at any one point when it is posing any risk, it can be either recalled or maybe changes made. So policies should be able to allow that. And so those different aspects should be able to ensure that, the rightful people, if we know that Emma has been vetted, he has done this work, and when we look at his, like we assess him, he can be able to work on this. Now, how can we be able to put in place controls that will ensure that the lab where this work is happening is not accessed by, people who will use the materials for the wrong purpose. Emma will not be compromised and all that. So you have to look at all these different parameters to come up with policies that are both balanced, ensuring that innovations can still go on, but security, safe and secure innovations are what are allowed to go on.
Okay, finally, let's get this as our final question. It's from Pamela, and she's asking that what are the most pressing research areas in this field of biopolicy that could make a significant contribution and help draw the attention of policymakers to the cause, especially in improving the implementation.
Let me just get that clear. What are the most pressing research areas in this field of biopolicy that could make a significant contribution and help draw the attention of policymakers to the cause, especially increasing on the implementation of already existing policies? So we come from quite diverse environments. I think for you to determine what areas would be the most appropriate to do research in really depends on where you are operating from. So if you are, we saw the levels of, where biopolicy happens. So if you are at the institutional level, there are things which are very important at that level. That will not be the same as what is important at national level. That is going to be different from what is important at the regional level and also like at the global stage. So you would really have to look at which level are you speaking to, and then get down to understand what are the gaps. So first of all, a number of times you are not going to determine which area to maybe provide evidence in without understanding what the gap is. So if it's at the institutional level, you would look at the existing policies at that level and see what are the gaps, what are the requirements. I'll give an example. The concept of dual use research governance is not a concept that is so much known even among scientists. And yet for a very long time, we've been having like labs, working on dangerous pathogens, working with very risky experiments. But most of the time, the review of those projects has always only looked at what? At the ethics component. So here we are right now and wanting to emphasize the issue of dual use, because this work that you're working on, yes, it's for peaceful purposes, but it could also be misused. And so you'll find that even just the issue of awareness raising on the concept of dual use research and its governance is a big one. The institutional, even the national committees, the biosafety committees, a number of times it's not one of the aspects that is included in the review of the project. So you can see that it's an aspect that is at the national level, but you may not even have policies at the, like right from the institution and then the national level. So that could be a place like to start. Even at your institution, you can start with some policies there, like on dual use research, governance, and then see what other gaps exist, and then you can derive your research from there. Over.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sandra, for the wonderful and insightful sharing you've done with us today. And everyone at SynBio4ALL Africa is appreciating your time and all the input you've put in to respond to the questions which were asked today. And also, before we conclude, I would like to encourage everyone to take the issue of biopolicy as one of the most pertinent and urgent issue to quickly implement and also get involved in. You could be in the lab, you could be anywhere, but also thinking about the issue of biopolicy is also very, very important, and also looking out for those opportunities. We always share opportunities in the SynBio4ALL Africa community WhatsApp group. Those opportunities are real, as you have seen how Sandra shared the opportunity from different opportunities that exist throughout the year. You can try them out. You can find your career starting from there. Also, I would like to encourage you to continue following SynBio4ALL Africa on different social media platforms, and on LinkedIn, on Twitter, X, formerly Twitter, on Blue Sky, and also look out on the work of Nuo Bioscience. Nuo Bioscience is doing great work and being led by Sandra. So they are doing great work. Look out for their work, which they are doing. And yeah, that is it. Sandra, in your closing remarks for the community before we close today's webinar.
Really, I just want to thank you, Emma, and the team and everyone on the call. For me, this particular subject is very dear to my heart. And so an opportunity to speak about a topic that I love so much and I'm working towards is really such a great honor. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I hope we can get to interact further beyond this, but I believe we shall. So, and then I just hope you've been able to pick at least one or two things from this presentation. I would love to be able to meet you in the next, biopolicy space and tell me that, from this talk, I was able to move on and do this. So I'm looking forward to that. And I wish you all the best in your careers. And I can tell that this is an area of interest to you. And so I'm hoping that, things will align the right way and you will be doing the work that you love to contribute to your national efforts, contributing to the continental efforts, but also very importantly, contribution to the global efforts. Thank you, and over to Emma.
Okay, thank you so much, Sandra. Maybe one thing that many people have been asking about here at SynBio4ALL Africa, though Sandra didn't talk about it, but Sandra has shared her email. You can reach out for more information about it. Many people have been wanting to know more about what is about the Nagoya Protocol and the Cartagena Protocol. Please, for all those ones who have been having such kind of questions, Sandra shared her email. You can reach out to her. If at all you didn't get her email, reach out to SynBio4ALL Africa and we shall share with you her email for such kind of questions. Otherwise, thank you so much, and I wish you a blessed weekend. And till we meet again in September, we shall have another webinar hosting Kelly Rogers from Stanford University. Hope to see you there. And for now, have a good weekend and bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, and thank you so much.
Thank you.